So today we are working on the Mini. Corey's having some misfire issues, so
runs like shit.
So we're gonna put new plugs, wires, and some other stuff that he bought, a fuel filter as well, in the Mini.
Hey, so the fuel filter, that won't be going in this video. Expect that in a different video. It's a bit more of a process. It's not that difficult. It's just gonna take a little bit longer to do. So the wires that I got, the coil, and the spark plugs, which I'm trying to figure out the gap on right now to make sure they're good, those will be going in, well, this evening, tonight. So that's about what we're planning on doing.
So Corey's gonna get in the car and start it up. This is what we're dealing with right now, or what he's dealing with. I'm not really dealing with it.
I fully expect it to be perfectly fine because you're recording right now. See what I mean? I told you. It's the issue I'm having from what I've been reading is a very common thing with these cars. Between like 1 and 3,000 if you're in gear and you put it in neutral and let off, at idle, at like a stop sign or a stoplight, it'll sort of dip in the revs, and you tap the gas, it goes away, and it's fine. And in my case, I don't know about anyone else, you go to set off, and it just stumbles and wants to, it just breaks up. It sounds terrible. Something. I've even had it bad to the point where it wants to stall, but it doesn't. It just lurches really hard. If I'm in any kind of gear, really, if I want to go and get on it, like sometimes it's half throttle, sometimes it's 3/4. It'll just start to break up and do the same thing again, so I can't really, drive the car, have fun in the car, and it's pissing me off. So I want to fix it. I don't know that it matters where these go at the moment, because it's not like I'm putting them back on this on this coil. Ow. I'll just say ow for good measure. I think that's a 10 mil. I need a 10 mil. 10. Got it. Good. Yeah, I'm gonna use the extension just cause. Had this off before when this problem first started. And when it was off before, I noticed that both of the front points on the coil were completely corroded and rusty. And I thought, yeah, I figured it out. No, it still sucks, clearly. But we sort of concluded that they're that way because I have a big hole in my hood, and water sort of just goes in there, and if it doesn't hit the intercooler, because this foam bit I don't think is going to stop everything, it lands right there. So yeah, check that if you own one of these. Ow! So it's pretty simple uninstall for the coil. It's just 4 bolts into the valve cover, and then if you come over here with that, it's just 1 clip. This little red bit is, it's a lock for the plug into the coil. It doesn't come undone. You have to clip that out of the back, and then just pulls right off. Don't do it like I did. Do it more carefully so you don't smash your hand off everything. You might do that anyway. But that's out. Alright, so got the old coil out, which I put in there. This is what's going in. MSD, I think it's called the Master Blaster coil.
The Master Finger Blaster.
Sure, yeah, if that's what you want to go with. It's supposed to do something like 36,000 volts. I don't know what the stock one does, so I can't tell you if that's an upgrade or not. I assume it's definitely an upgrade. Part number, if you're interested. I had this open before at home, but ooh, so pretty. Drop.
Just like your carburetor.
They did include, from the place I bought it, I don't think MSD did this, but on top was taped thoroughly another set of bolts. From what I was reading about this coil, you have to drill out the holes in the coil for where it bolts into the valve cover, because the stock bolts won't fit through it. So I'm wondering if these bolts are so I don't have to do that, which would be great because that would save me time. So, well, you know what? Could probably check that. Yeah, cool. Those go through. Good. Good. Not good. I lost it.
It went under the car.
I'll get another one. Oh, look at that. That's weird. So the stock bolts have this weird, like, sleeve thing on them, and I don't know how that comes off. I'm just not going to worry about it. But that's, you know, that's what I heard, that they don't go in.
We have epoxy too. If the bolts don't, or if you lose them all.
If I lose them all, I don't think epoxy's going to work if I lose all the bolts.
Enough epoxy will. Remember, cross-threaded or torqued to spec.
Tight is tight.
Exactly.
Go away. I think there's a torque spec on these.
Tight.
Alright. Okay. I'd say that's going in. So we got the coil labeled in what is probably the correct firing order. We went off of the coil that was in it, which was labeled on the coil from Mini. So in that same pattern, it's probably right. So now what I'm going to do next is take the plug wires off, remembering where they went, so I don't forget that later. And then I'm going to go ahead and take all the spark plugs out and see what they look like. Oh boy, that would have sucked if the spark plug socket didn't fit in the hole. It barely does, which is good. I need a longer extension.
Didn't look too bad.
Alright, so one. Where'd you put the right there? I'm just gonna put these here. 1, 2.
What about the one that was over? Oh, you moved it.
What'd you put there?
You put it there.
What did I put there?
The other wire.
Oh. Go away. Yeah, I must have moved that.
So these are what the plugs look like right now. These are the old ones. You can see most of them are clean, kind of, but they definitely, you can see the gap on there is a little wider than what it should be. They should be, what, 35?
Oh, 35 is what I read.
Yeah, 35 thousandths. These check out between like 45 and 50 thousandths. Also, we have this plug here, which if it will fucking focus, this plug here looks like getting blown by the plug because the actual isolator is black, which isn't good. So put some new ones in, actually tighten them, and should be good.
For reference, this is a new one. You can see the gap there if you want to like grab another plug and show it against the old ones. Remembered.
Always remember to anti-seize your plugs, especially if you have an aluminum head. And don't go crazy, because the steel of a spark plug versus an aluminum head, you torque it a little too tight, you'll have no more threads left in your head.
Alright, so installed. MSD wires are on, plugs are in, anti-seized. They're tight. They're all tight now to the same-ish tightness. Yeah, everything should be good to go as far as starting is concerned.
I'm gonna wait.
I'm gonna start it. I'm gonna try to. So yeah, Mini works great. It's not in the garage anymore, it's out there. We just got back from a test drive and it runs good, a lot better than it was. It doesn't have the same stuttering issue. I can, drive the car. It's not wanting to stall at stop signs or red lights when I, from a standstill. It gets up and goes in gears now. I feel like it runs a lot better considering the plugs are actually, gapped correctly and not, I don't know, thousandth out on each one. Happy with it. Glad that it was that and not something a lot worse. So, yeah, that's about it. Should we have a closer?